Hey guys, this is section 1, day 2 notes about solving one-step inequalities. And what I want you to know about solving inequalities is that it's exactly the same as solving a equation. Okay, so you're just trying to get the x by itself. You're following the same steps that you would for solving an equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and look in at example number 1. And our first goal is to get our x by itself. And we're going to treat this inequality sign kind of like an equal sign. Okay, so we're wanting to get everything to the other side. So for this example, we're wanting to get x by itself, so we need to get this 9, the positive 9, onto the other side. So how do you undo addition? Well, of course, you undo that with subtraction. So we're going to subtract 9 on both sides. Those 9s cancel, and then bring down everything as you see it. Okay, so we'd have x, bring down your less than inequality sign, and then 15 minus 9, of course, is 6. Okay, so your solution would be x is less than 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be your solution for example number 1. So same thing as a equation in regards to solving an inequality. Let's look at example 2. Okay, so this time we're wanting to get the x by itself, so we want to undo the subtraction by addition. Those 3's cancel. And we have x, and then we bring down our greater than inequality sign. And then minus 6 plus 3, of course, is negative 3. So x could be anything that's greater than negative 3. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, and so on. Yeah, let's try one with decimals. Okay, so this time you have to undo subtraction with addition. Those 0.4's cancel. Bring down your x and your greater than or equal to inequality sign. And your 0.7 plus 0.4 gives you 1.1. And I would prefer that you guys put your x first. Okay, so if you rewrote it, it would be x is less than or equal to 1.1. I find it much easier to read it that way. So I would prefer that you start putting your x's to the left first. And it will be like that on your test, and I'll grade it that way. Okay, another example for you. Got to get x by itself again, so we're going to undo subtraction with addition. Those 10.2's cancel out. Doink. Bring down your x and your less than or equal to symbol. And if you add together negative 3.8 and 10.2, you'll get 6.4. Okay, so once again, you have to rewrite your inequality so that your x is on the left. So that would give you x is greater than or equal to 6.4. So 6.4 would be a solution, and everything greater than that would also be a solution. Okay, so given that I have given you the first several here, I want you to try, you try 1, and you try 2 all by yourself. Okay, so take a minute, pause this video, and work through those 2 examples on your own. Okay, now that you've gone ahead and tried those examples, I'm going to go ahead and move on to different types that are multiplication and division. Okay, so let's look at you try number 3. Now, of course, when we're solving equations, we know that if you have a number times a variable, you undo that with division, of course. Okay, so you're going to undo this multiplication with division on both sides, just like you would an equation. Those 3's cancel, and you have x, bring down your greater than sign, and negative 27 divided by 3 gives us negative 9. Okay, so it's not much different than the ones that we just did. You're just undoing multiplication now. Okay, so let's go ahead and try. You try number 4. I'm not sure why that line isn't there. Let's go ahead and erase it. I guess it won't let us, never mind. Okay, so you have 2/3 x less than minus 6. Okay, so you have 2/3 times 6, so we're going to undo multiplication with division. So you divide each side by 2/3. And those 2/3 cancel out. And we have x is less than negative 6 divided by 2/3. Now this is the instance where you would go ahead and use your ABC button on your calculator. So you'd type in negative 6 divided by 2ABC3, and you would end up getting x is less than negative 9. Okay, so your x would have to be less than negative 9, so negative 10, negative 11, so on. Okay, so make sure you have all these different examples on your note page, including you tries number 1 and number 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and try just a few more examples today, and we'll call it good. Now, at the top of the page, there's one new thing that you have to remember. Okay? If you are undoing multiplication and division and you divide each side or multiply each side by a negative number, you must flip the inequality. Okay? If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip your inequality. Okay, now let me give you a few examples of what that's like. Okay, so one more time, if you multiply or divide by a negative number to get x by itself, you must flip around your inequality to face the other direction. Okay, so let me give you an example of what that would look like. Okay, so you're going to solve these problems just the same as you normally would, except if you divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. So in this one, you have negative 8 times x. Let's undo multiplication with division. Okay, so those negative 8's cancel. But since we divided by a negative number, you have x, and then flip your inequality the other direction. And then 72 divided by negative 8 gives us negative 9. Okay, so it's the same thing, but if you multiply or divide each side by a negative, you must flip the inequality. Okay, so let's try another one. This time we have 7 times x, so we're going to undo multiplication with division. Good question to ask. Do we need to flip the inequality this time? No, we don't have to flip it this time because we didn't divide by a negative number. We divided by a positive number. So we're just going to solve like we normally would. So divide each side by 7. Those cancel. You bring it all down. X is greater than negative 6. Okay, so your solutions would be negative 5 and all the ones that are greater than negative 6. Okay. So let's look at example number 7. And remember, if you divide by a negative number, you must flip your inequality. Okay, so if you divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, you must flip your inequality. Okay, so on number 7, you have x divided by negative 5, so we have to undo division with multiplication. So we're going to multiply each side by negative 5. Okay, so those negative 5's cancel. Bring down everything as you see it, but since you multiplied by a negative number, you must flip your inequality. And negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. Okay, so remember, you have to have your x on the left like we learned earlier. So we're going to rewrite it, and it becomes x is less than or equal to 15. So we got a few problems down here that we're going to take a look at. And then I'm going to let you do 2 on your lonesome. Okay, so number 8. You're undoing multiplication with division, so we're just going to divide each side by 2. Those 2's cancel. And since you're dividing by a positive number, you do not have to flip your inequality. So we have x is greater than or equal to 3. One more example, and I'm going to let you solve the rest of them. Okay, we have a divided by negative 5 is less than 1. So we're going to undo division with multiplication. And since you're dividing by a negative number, or multiplying by a negative number, you must flip your inequality to face the other direction. Okay, so I've given you several examples. Go ahead and take a look at number 10, these 2 by yourself. And I expect you to have those filled out on your note packet. Good job, everybody. Okay, just a preview for what we're learning next time. You do not need to take notes over this right now, but we'll be learning about how to solve inequalities that use multiple steps. Okay, so you do not need to do this right now. It's just a preview of what we'll be talking about next time. Okay? Great job, everybody. Make sure to look at your homework tonight.